All right, I see the gameplay, and it looks like we're live and ready to rock and roll, fellas. Hey there, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to yet another edition of the Xbox Roundtable Podcast. With this being show number 251, the place for Sunday night talks to just kick back, chill out, listen to some spirited gaming talk, Xbox or otherwise, just all kinds of gaming talk from around the industry. Naturally, this is your host, Invader, and I'm really looking forward to our chat tonight. We're going to talk some God of War Ragnarok. It's finally released. We will give you our impressions on it. As well, Xbox fans are calling out an EU regulator over tweets favoring Sony. Are these callouts warranted, or, is it just a lot of nothing? We'll give our thoughts. As well, some really cool news regarding Gears of War. Some that, some news that some people have been really waiting for with the IP. So, lots on the docket tonight. However, first, let me introduce everybody on this awesome panel. And tonight, we're joined by a pretty cool guy, the man behind the trophy room. Please welcome Mr. Badbit himself, Joseph Moran. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm excited to talk about some God of War. I'm excited to talk about some EU regulations. I'm just excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me and bearing with me as well, because it's been a process. I thought we were recording yesterday. I was a big dummy. Oh goodness, but nonetheless, I'm happy to be here, man.
Yeah, no, hey, it's great to have you here, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts and opinions on everything that we're about to discuss tonight. Big fan of your work over at the Trophy Room there. All right, moving on to the TXR regulars, and first up, Mr. Centurion, buddy. Hey, how's your week been?
It's been going great, man. Hammering out the backlog. Been playing, dude. I finally 100%ed Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It took 300 mother effing hours to do that.
You're crazy.
I got to the end where you actually get to see Alexios go to Egypt and basically connect Assassin's Creed Origins and then shoot over and walk off the boat into Ivor's village in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, just for it to go up to be continued in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So I went that far with that freaking game. I'm excited. Now I'm hammering out the Outer Worlds. It's been a good week playing some games, man, and don't feel bad, Mr. Badbit. Every single year, Invader has to remind me when daylight savings time either rolls back or goes forward, because I live in Arizona and we don't participate in that shit. So I have to be warned. He's like, hey, the show starts an hour late. Don't show up an hour early.
That's crazy. That's so, man. I'm gonna move to Arizona. I hate daylight savings time so much, and why we have it, I have no idea. I don't, farmers, who needs them? That's all I can say.
Reason nowadays, kids going to school, it makes it so it's brighter in the morning when they're getting on the bus, at least for as maximal time as you can have. Having worked in a school, that's like the biggest reason that it still exists. Some of the school unions will lobby for it.
Honestly, those kids can go walk in the dark. It's nothing. It's fine.
I agree.
If you could go get candy from a stranger's door in the dark, you could go to school in the dark.
I agree.
All right. Daylight savings discussions. I love it. I mean, yeah, I could go either way. I mean, personally, yeah, I don't know, time change kind of. I mean, at least I got an extra hour of sleep, but at the same time, when it goes the other way, we have to spring forwards. Not such a good deal.
Yeah, no, just keep it where we keep the hour of sleep. Don't do the pressing forward thing. That's a little ridiculous. Just give us the hour of sleep, and we're good.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Hey, I agree with you, Mr. Badbit. Moving on here, Tim Dog, buddy, great to see you back in action. How's things?
Good. I had a really, really eventful week last week. Had a bunch of things going, a bunch of the city. Played some Persona. Been playing that. I'm trying to definitely finish that game. 28 hours in about. But happy to be here. happy that we have Mr. Bad Brit here. A nice, thanks for coming on, and we got a lot to talk about. So looking forward to the show.
Tim Dog, how do you feel? You're 28 hours into Persona, and
I
you,
love
you,
it.
you just got through the prologue or whatever they call it.
Yeah. It's
much.
yeah. I have a bet with somebody to finish this game, and I've been here in 120 hours to finish it. But
Yeah.
to be honest, it's a game that I like. I like games like this. I loved Like a Dragon, and
Fair.
a lot of the things that were from Like a Dragon are kind of in a weird way in this game. They kind of or Like a Dragon borrowed from Persona, I would say, because Persona was out first. But I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Thoroughly enjoying building up my characters, my traits, and building up the level, so the game is not as tough when you go into the palaces and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I really obviously it's a game that has been out for a while. I've always had PlayStation. I just kind of knew what it was about. To be honest, I didn't know it was like a Dragon, or what type of game it was. I knew it was a JRPG, but playing it, surprised me. I'm a big fan of it, and looking
It's
forward
the
to
music for me. Like the music
Yeah.
is fantastic. It makes me want to dance.
Yeah, it's
But,
just
like,
it's so true.
yeah, for me, I try my best to try to get into JRPGs, but for some reason I can't do turn-based to save my life. But I do feel like that game's gonna be perfect for like xCloud or like the Switch where you're
Yes.
taking it mobile. That's where I
Yeah.
think that game's gonna really
Yep.
shine.
I played about, I would say, half and half. So half,
that's
Nice.
but it is a beautiful game when you play it on your OLED or your HD TV or 4K. The game is visually, I would say, pleasing, but playing it on the cloud is definitely accessible, and it's a great game for the cloud. You don't really, have any kind of issues. There's no fast Twitch based stuff. It's just basically, you can decide what you want to do, if you want to use medicine, block, whatever. But yeah, it is definitely a showcase game for xCloud.
Nice. And even in the chat, Thimber saying, "Oh, I'm watching the podcast and playing Persona 5." So there you go. Very nice there, bud. Very nice. Moving on down the list here, Eric Shockley. Hey, how have you been?
Pretty good. Just ready to get into some of these topics from some of these comments and some news that we found out. Obviously, we'll get into later with some of these IPs. But yeah, I'm excited to hear about Ragnarok, how that is from the people who have played it, so I can hurry up and finish the rest of that God of War as I reiterated last week. But hopefully, this one's just as dope. So looking forward to it.
And we will get into that very, very soon. But moving on down the list, General MLD, my friend, how are you?
Hey, doing pretty good here. Yeah, just hammering away at the backlog myself. I finished Titanfall 2, but in the 120 frame mode. That was pretty good. Now I'm on Hellblade as well in the 120 mode. But also at the same time chipping away at Persona. That's a long game. I don't think I can beat that anytime soon. But I just beat the first Persona game. I love it. Yeah, like coming off Yakuza Like a Dragon, it's really good. I'm in love with it. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, everybody's playing the Persona. I don't know. I guess I have to get in on this action at some point. Sometime. In the backlog mess. All right, and to round out the crew, Crusader, how you been?
I'm good. If my voice gives out during the show tonight, I apologize. I had karaoke with the friend group from college last night.
Oh, hot damn.
I know. So we usually like to do it once a month, but people got married in October and went on their honeymoons, and we couldn't do karaoke. I kid, but like, we were all very excited to go do karaoke last night, and I've been playing a lot this week. At the end of last week, I finished the 3 remaining God of War titles that I hadn't played on PS3. because I wanted to have
Oh,
everything played.
nice.
I'm actually super happy I did because there are subtle references to a lot of them in
Mhm.
you know, but super happy I did that. And now I'm playing Ragnarok, and I'm addicted to Ragnarok. I've been playing some Fortnite and stuff, and unlike Centurion, who's trying to chew through his backlog, I am continuing to add to it with things like the Kingdom Hearts All-in-One collection and a boatload of games on the Xbox sale today for like the 360 and stuff. So it's
Damn.
yeah, it's gonna be a good time. I think we might try to beat 100 games this year. I'm at 84 right now. We might try to get to 100.
Nice. I'm
Honestly, I
slacking.
don't know how many games I've played this year.
I keep
Nowhere
a journal.
near 80. Yeah,
I
people
keep
do like the
yeah.
GG app, and like we talked about this actually last week, and I just on the trophy room, and I need to be better at it.
I use
really do.
backlogged.com.
Backlog.com. Okay,
Yeah,
let me see this.
there's like Backlogged is like the game one, and then there's another one like that's made by the same people for TV shows and movies.
Okay.
And you can just keep a journal of like where you watched what you rated it, stuff like that's great.
Mm-hmm.
And you have your own profile, so you can share it out with friends and stuff, and you can follow your friends and see what they're playing and stuff like that. It's cool.
All right. Good to know. Thanks for sharing that, Crusader. I'll have to look into that too, actually. Seems like a pretty useful app. Let's see. Okay, guys. Well, a reminder before we begin that we've got a giveaway going on for a limited edition Xbox headset. Check that out in the link provided in the description on how to enter on Twitter. Again, it ends December 1st, so hey, get in on that. Time's ticking away there. Also, please remember to share this show out, as we'd love to have more people here, and give it a like. And hey, if you're new to the channel, give us a sub. We'd love to have you stick around. But okay, with all that said, let us move on into our first topic tonight. And the hotly anticipated title God of War Ragnarok has finally released. It's available on PlayStation platforms and has been seeing a lot of praise from the looks of things. Been seeing a lot of praise. I know a few people on the panel have played it, and I want to know all their thoughts, honest opinions. Mr. Badbit, Joseph, why don't you kick us off here? Have you had a chance to play God of War Ragnarok yet? And if so, hey, please tell us your first impressions of it.
Oh, absolutely. I've put around 20 hours or so into God of War, so I'm pretty in. That being said, though, walking into God of War Ragnarok, I got to tell you all, my history with God of War is almost non-existent. I was not allowed to play God of War as a kid because my parents found out about those QuickTime games on 60 Minutes. So we couldn't, I couldn't partake in God of War. And by the time like God of War 2 or 3 came around, I was already busy. I was deep into Gears of War. So like that was my gal. So for me, I've never been a big God of War fan because Kratos never clicked. God of War 2018, he clicked. He was a fantastic character. What Corey was able to do with him and his story and Atreus' story connected with me. And I think at that time, that one-shot camera, that was impressive. There was just so much about that game that was just impressive, and just through the storytelling aspect, it was fantastic. It's one of my favorite games of all time. So God of War Ragnarok, all it has to do is be more God of War that I really like and tell an interesting story, because where 2018 left off, it gave a really great premise of, we're already going to tell you how this whole thing ends. You're going to fill in the details. And God of War Ragnarok follows that to a T, and every character's arc, though Atreus and Kratos are on the same journey, their arcs are different, but they both have to do something similar. And I really dig where the story is going for those characters and how they're playing with, destiny, fate, and, really personal stuff that I can't get into because of spoilers. But it does a really great job of nailing those aspects while giving feelings that these characters are going through, or portraying their feelings that we can relate to. So, we've always, it's kind of like a kid watching their parents age, and a parent watching their son grow, or their daughter grow, and like those thoughts and feelings are portrayed so well here, that I'm thoroughly enjoying what Ragnarok's giving me in the story department. Also, the dialogue is just fantastic. Um, and when it comes to the combat, I saw a lot of people going, hey, it's just more 2018. I'm like, yeah, that's absolutely. I wasn't expecting a racing game. I'm expecting a more refined experience from 2018, learning from mistakes that they've had, playing with different weapons and combos. And Ragnarok does that. It feels a lot punchier. The combos feel really great when you actually get into the rhythm of swapping weapons mid combat, mid combo, and mix and matching. It feels great. And the one major change that I feel or improvement from 2018 here, when they talk about variety. Now, variety in combat is you're still there's still the same enemies. I'm not here to tell you that that's changed. No. Mm-mm. There's more of them, so that's great. But the variety I think they talk about is in the boss fights. You're not fighting the same ogre 3 times. You're fighting way different bosses each time, and each one feels great, feels challenging, feels like there's something on the line. A lot of these narrative-driven games, they feel like you're on a roller coaster, and you're not really achieving anything. You're just going through the paces. Where in this, it feels like I'm achieving something when I'm beating these bosses, which is something that I get when I'm playing an Elden Ring or, Bloodborne or whatever have you. So their combat, it's more of what, you love, or if you don't like, it's not going to change. And when it comes to the level design, ooh-wee, I really dig it. There's far more to discover. There's a lot of puzzles for me, I'm not a big puzzle guy. And I saw, my good friend Ames give her critique of like, it feels like they help you too much. I actually feel like they don't help you enough. But they feel challenging, and I feel rewarded when I'm solving a puzzle or when I'm turning a corner and go, oh, shoot, there's something here. So overall, God of War Ragnarok for me is a really damn good time. And I keep, while playing it, just think to myself, this is a sequel from one of my favorite games of all time, and it is nailing it 100%. Everything what I hoped Santa Monica has achieved for me. And then on the other hand, I have a game that I also love made by my favorite developer, that is Elden Ring. This year I'm just eating. It's good eating. I'm not worried about which one's my game of the year, which one's not. I'm just enjoying what's been handed in front of me and just celebrating it. So I'm utterly addicted to God of War. I can't wait to see where it goes, but so far, so very good. And that's been my TED Talk.
All right. No, that's no, I love the pep talk. A lot of honesty, a lot of no, that's a really interesting opinion. A lot more like very honest, right? A lot more in depth than I've heard from a lot of other people, and no, that's great. That's great.
Yeah. I've also heard like these, like someone saying like these are the best side quests, better than The Witcher 3. I've played a lot of The Witcher 3. I haven't beaten it. I would not go far to say this supplants Witcher 3. They are the side missions for the most part are not just memorable, but they're important. It's similar. The way they structure these side quests are similar to the way Ghost of Tsushima structured them. Is if you want to learn more about these characters, you do these side quests, and it's going to fill out their arc, or you're going to understand their arcs better by doing them, and they're going to be a more well-rounded character for you. And the one thing that I really love that I see is how the completion rate so far, when I pop a trophy on these side quests, to see like people are actually taking the time to do them is it's fantastic. So game's great. It's living up to my expectations. But when people are like, it's more God of War, absolutely is. It's more God of War. And if you liked it, you're gonna love it. If you didn't, not for you.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. Like how would like because you had said that when you were younger that you didn't play like a lot of God of War before. Like did you ever get back to like playing the earlier games like later on in life? Or?
Yeah, God bless PlayStation now. Oh man, what a disaster. I played God of War 1 this year. Yeah, right. Yeah, this year or last year. And I loved it. I was like, actually, this game for a PS2 game ages with grace. In terms of the gameplay department, it's solid. But on the last level, I crap you not, my guys. It crashed on me because that's what PlayStation now does, and my save was corrupted, so I couldn't even go back to it. So in my mind's eye, I beat God of War 1. I'm not going back to it because I'm not putting that much time into something again for it just to crash because PlayStation now is not good. Then I played God of War 2. I'm like, I'll just start here, and same thing happened. So I'm like, you know what? It's not meant to be. Hopefully, who knows? Maybe the new PlayStation Plus tiers will get uh, decent, so I could go back to it. Mediocre. I'll just bet. I'm praying for mediocrity. That service right now. But I will go back to them one day. I absolutely will. Just not on that streaming service. So thank you.
Okay. All right, that's fair. That's fair. But no, they are pretty awesome titles for sure. Now I know I think a few other people on the panel have played Ragnarok. Well, actually, in fact, I know one in particular. Now, Crusader, maybe you want to chime in here. Again, I know you've been putting in some time into God of War Ragnarok. Do you agree with what Mr. Badbit here's saying about the game so far? And what are your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, so I get really mad at people who say that every new game that comes out has to be like revolutionary and wildly different from what came before it, because I think that's utter
Same.
nonsense.
It's nonsense.
I think every once in a while franchises need to freshen up. Resident Evil is the best franchise that's ever done that, right? It's done it twice, and it's done it really well twice. You know what I mean? And God of War's done it once, and I don't think I think they could do another game without having to change up the formula very much after this, right? Like it's good, and they added enough to it that they felt like they were building on it. And it feels like the kind of evolutionary building from like Halo 2 to Halo 3, right? If we want to put it into like an Xbox perspective. And it's really good, and it solves most of my major complaints about the first game, right? I didn't like the enemy variety in the first game. I thought there wasn't enough mini boss, and I didn't think there were enough bosses, and I didn't think there was enough just like regular chaff variety. This game has all kinds of variety in all those sections, right? And so like that problem solved right off the bat. I didn't like how we didn't go to all of the realms in the first game, and that's not a spoiler. That was in the advertising. That was like literally the first thing Cory Balrog said about the game when they announced it. You know, back in 2020, you go to all the realms, and it's great, right? And seeing, because like I'm a big mythology guy, so I like seeing all the mythology stuff. That's why I actually really like the original God of Wars a lot. Being said, I do like the gameplay style of the original God of Wars more, just because I like the hack and slash versus the like hybrid hack and slash third person melee. I'm not a big melee guy in video games. I do like third person and first person shooters more than I like third person or first person melee games. That being said, this game has enough accessibility features for someone who's bad at playing close up, doing like close up combat and stuff, that like for me I'm still having a blast even though I have the training wheels on. And like I'm playing on like either the second or like the middle difficulty. So like I'm playing on the easier end, right? I'm not a big difficulty in games guy. Like, the only game that I play for the difficulty is Mass Effect, and that's because I've played it 1.5 billion times, and I can't go back to the lower difficulties anymore. It's too easy.
Fair enough.
And so I'm not a big guy who's like a fan of difficulty in games, but like they made this game also for me, but also for the people who like difficulty in games, because I've heard the higher difficulties in this are brutal. But then I also have I'm on Give Me Grace, I believe is what it is, the second lowest.
Okay.
And I switch between it and the middle one whenever I feel like it's getting too easy or too hard. I switch between them. And I have the mini bosses when you get them to half health, and if you die, you go back in, you get a checkpoint where they're at half health. I like that mechanic very much because it lets me. I'm gonna end up platinuming the game because of that. It was something I didn't do in the first one because the Valkyries kicked my ass in the first one.
Oh God, yeah.
So like I'm actually gonna get the platinum for this game, which is great. I think the only thing I don't like about the game is it's not the level design. It's the level design in tandem with the fast travel system, because it's the same basic fast travel system from the first game. And sometimes it just takes you forever and a half to remember how to get back through the entire map to go hunt for collectibles, when like I wish I could just fast travel to each of the core areas instantly. Like, I get the whole walking through Yggdrasil fast travel
Yes.
system for like how cool it is and like the mechanic, but like it gets kind of frustrating when you're trying to figure out how to get back to that one area so that you can open that one chest you missed.
Yeah,
Right?
that's a good point. I don't like the map much.
Yeah.
I don't think the map's very helpful at all.
The actual level design is really cool, but when I'm trying to figure out how to like get to where I'm going for some of these secrets, it's like
Yeah.
and you know, and it was Gene Park over at the Washington Post who was saying that the side quests are better than The Witcher 3. I think some of them are very, very, very good. I still think Horizon Forbidden West is has the best side quests in a video game that I've ever played. Like they felt like main story missions in that game, and like they kind of feel like main story missions in this game, but they feel disjointed enough from the main story. Whereas the side quests in Horizon Forbidden West literally felt like actual branch offshoots of the main story, not just like something you stumbled upon. Right? There's a couple of them in this game. I can't talk about them. There's a couple of them that do feel like that, but then there's a couple that it's just like. They resemble like finding the dragons in the first game, where like you found out about the dwarves who put their souls into the and became dragons. In the first game, there's some of them that feel like that, where like it's really based in the myth, but like it doesn't like tie into the main story at all. You just kind of discover it. And so that's where I have to say that I don't know that I can directly say that the side quests are better than The Witcher, because I haven't played The Witcher, but I've seen enough of my friends play through it, both in college and we watched. My one friend streamed an entire playthrough to us in Discord every night. We would just hop in and watch him while we were playing other games.
Nice.
And so like, I can't say they're very, very good side quests, right? They should set like they're up in that tier. I just can't say that they quite surpass.
Yeah.
It is what I'd say. And like a lot of people are like, this is their game of the year, and I absolutely agree that this is going to be a candidate for game of the year. For me personally, like I said, I'm not a big melee and games for difficulty kind of guy, so some of it's lost on me. And so like, it's personally not going to be in my personal game of the year, but my game, like when I'm saying my game of the year, it's whatever gives me the most serotonin as a human being.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Right now that's
how it should be.
Yeah, right now that's a three-way tie between Destiny 2, Witch Queen. I do count MMO expansions. It's one thing that people get mad at me, but I do count MMO expansions like Final Fantasy 14 Endwalker. If people wanted to say that's their game of the year, I would be all for it. Like last year, that is. So it's either Destiny 2 Witch Queen or Plague Tale or Horizon Forbidden West, which is hilariously a third-person shooter, but it breaks people's brains when you say that. Yeah, it's bows, not guns, but it's a third-person shooter.
And I thought you were going to say Pokemon.
Pokemon has a good chance of being my game of the year, right? It has a good chance of being it, only because it scratches that same itch that looter shooters scratch for me, because it is... It's without a shoot. It's a looter, right? I mean, in principle, you're catching the different Pokemon, right? So there's a good chance that this Friday I'm going to be playing my game of the year. Don't know. It probably will end up being Horizon Forbidden West, but but I am captivated by this game, and like I said, I think I don't know if I said it earlier. I'm very happy that I played the original 3, because I'm a big fan of games referencing their past, not necessarily making it mandatory to know, right? Like, if you're in a trilogy, right? Like, God of War 2018 was basically mandatory for this game. Now, they made a great recap video in the beginning that makes it so you can just jump in. But it's, like, mandatory reading for this, whereas the original Greek God of Wars aren't mandatory reading. They make stuff make a little bit more sense, but you don't need them. There's enough context clues. But if you've played them, you get a lot out of the game. Like when they're having conversations. Like there's one conversation where they reference
I think I know what you're talking about.
His previous relations in Greece and like other gods in Greece and stuff like that. And it's great. And there's even some obscure ones from, like,
when they do that too. I'm sorry to cut you off. But like when they do that too, you can see that like this is the same Kratos. He's just learned. I love when they do that. There are times that they reference that, and there's two personal connections via this side mission where I'm just like, oh, that's a deep cut, or like that was a unpopular God of War, and you're pulling that as a reference. I love when they do that. Star Wars does that a lot. They're like, hey, this is like, we get it. No one likes Solo. Like, this guy's in here, and he mattered. Damn it, you know.
Yeah, and like Halo Infinite kind of did that with Halo 3. There were a lot of Cortana lines from Halo 3 and Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
And so like I really like that kind of stuff in games. So like when you have a long-standing franchise and making references to long-term fans. Now I'm not a long-term fan of God of War. I played God of War 2018 for the first time last year. That being said, I loved it. It was a great game. And this year I was excited for Ragnarok, and I said, hey, I'm gonna play all the God of Wars before it. So I played God of War 1, 2, and 3 earlier this summer at some point on my PS3.
Nice.
And then I just played God of War, Ghost of Sparta, and Chains of Olympus on my PS3 as well. I couldn't get Ascension, brand new copy of Ascension, couldn't get my PS3 to load it. It would freeze the whole time, so I had to play that on PS Plus Premium. I mean, I didn't have a crash like you did in PS Plus Premium, but God of War Ascension is not a good game. Don't play it. Don't play Ascension if you're gonna play it. Just watch a Lord video and it's bad. The other ones are good. Play them. But yeah, no, it was excellent. I am having a great time. I'm about 25 hours into Ragnarok. Yeah.
Nice.
So.
All right.
But yeah.
So, all right, everybody's liking it so far. That's good. I'm glad to see all the positivity. Like again, it's nice to hear that these games are doing well. Anybody else on the panel had a chance to check out God of War or no? Yes, no. Yeah. All right. I mean, I just figured it'd be Crusader and Mr. Badbit. I haven't had a chance personally to play it. Actually, to be honest, I haven't played 2018's either, but I will. I will get to it. I will get to it eventually. But no, it looks like a pretty good game, God of War. Got to admit.
I want to at least put it out there that I plan to play it. I feel guilty buying all these damn games, and I have a backlog that continues to grow. So I've been just trying to hammer some games out of my backlog before I buy more.
That's fair. That's fair. Right now, like, because we're all talking about it in one of our DMs, and my one buddy, he has not played PlayStation since the PS2, and he's like, "Damn it! Like, y'all talking about this, and I feel the itch. I feel like this is gonna happen by the end of the year." I'm like, "Yes, go for it. This is gonna have fun."
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. No, I have a PlayStation 5. I do plan on. Well, I want to play the God of War 2018 before I play Ragnarok. So it's on my to-do list. I want to eke away at the backlog first. Yeah. But
I feel you there, man. I still need to get to Vampire Survivor. Like, and I bought that on my Steam Deck when I got my Steam Deck. Not even like out on Game Pass. I still haven't gotten to it, and I need to. I absolutely need to.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, again, if anybody in the chat has anything to share, if they've been playing God of War Ragnarok, let us know. Are you enjoying it so far? Or, is there some things that maybe they could have done a little better? Or, is it just like a near perfect game? Just let us know in the chat, all right? Okay, guys. I think that about does it for this topic, but I'm glad to hear that people on the panel have been enjoying the title. Next up on the docket, we got some spicy stuff to talk about. And of course, Microsoft is facing scrutiny from regulatory bodies, in all shapes and forms these days. More specifically, the EU and British bodies. A never-ending saga, really. However, recently Xbox fans have expressed dismay over commentary from an EU Commission member, stating that he wanted to ensure Call of Duty is available on other consoles, including his PlayStation. Now, Xbox fans are claiming he's showing bias. Tough gig, I guess, huh? Well, anyways, I'm curious what everyone here thinks about this. It was kind of random that kind of popped up over the past couple of days, but it's been getting a lot of talk. Centurion, buddy, I'll pick on your brain first here. What do you think of this person? Like, his comments? Is he, I don't know, do you think he's showing a bias, or is this just kind of like a big misunderstanding?
This is definitely bias. I'm sorry, but when you in parentheses say my PlayStation like a chiding little child, And but at least he did come out. Crusader put this in the DM earlier, and I, kind of, he came out saying, to clarify, I'm not involved in the assessment of the merger and don't even work in the department dealing with mergers. As is clear from my profile, comments are personal and not a commission position whose decision will be taken on the basis of the facts and the law. Well, I don't know what their terms are to be an employee there, but I know a lot of places here in the United States, if you start running your mouth, it doesn't look good on you when you start making the institution that you work for look bad. So I'm pretty sure this dude got a little bit of an email or a little, a little stop in at the office at, wherever he works from the boss going like, hey, love what you put on social media. Good job on making us look like a bunch of assholes. Freaking, I'm not going to, it only takes one person. I'm not going to say that the actual board themselves is being biased. Even though they're out of their damn mind on some of the stuff, like they somehow seem to think that Microsoft is going to lock down Activision Blizzard to the Windows operating system. As soon as I read that, I'm like, oh my God, have they lost their mind? Dude, the only cloud gaming doesn't work like that. Freaking you can play cloud gaming on an Apple device, a Linux device, and all sorts of other devices that don't use Windows, but somehow this is gonna shoehorn everybody to have to buy Windows-based PCs because Activision Blizzard is, that great. Dude, I'm at this point, I enjoy watching what's going on with this whole thing because I like watching stuff like this unfold, but I could have never predicted that this whole thing with Microsoft, Activision, the FTC, the CMA, the EU, the Brazil, it has turned into a 3-ring freaking circus at this point, dude. And it's just really interesting on how, at least over on the European side, the regulators seem to love to go out on Twitter and basically drum up attention. It's almost like these regulators are more like trying to create a PR campaign to let the world know that they exist. I mean, I don't really know how to describe this situation anymore, man. Can you say bias? I don't know. I hate to say it, but money walks. I mean, money talks and bullshit walks. We all know Microsoft is a multi-trillion-dollar company. They have their lobbyists over there. PlayStation has their lobbyists over there also. Who am I to say who doesn't have a horse in the race at this point when it comes to, who is actually listening to whose opinion when it comes to this whole situation? For me, at least, just to kind of just to put the nail in the coffin on my freaking point of view on this is having Call of Duty, whether it stays exclusive or not, is not going to put PlayStation under. They are the number one gaming company. I have to agree with what Microsoft says, that if all the revenue for Call of Duty was to disappear tomorrow, PlayStation would still be number one. I do not agree with the fact that somehow Microsoft is supposed to sign some kind of magical, mythical freaking contract that Call of Duty is supposed to stay multi-plat for all of existence. Meanwhile, titles like Final Fantasy VII Remake are not allowed to see the light of day on an Xbox. PlayStation has made an entire business practice out of basically shoehorning games and content off of the Xbox console and other platforms that are associated with Xbox. I mean, look at Hogwarts Legacy. There's exclusive content for PlayStation over there. At this point, I just want it to be done fairly. That's where the only argument that I feel any of these regulators can really have is the fact that cloud gaming and subscription-based gaming services are technically in their infancy right now. And this is a deal that could definitely tip the scales in Microsoft's favor on that one concept, because literally they would be, the fact that Microsoft has already set the bar when it comes to a gaming subscription service. Like when you say gaming subscription service, most people are going to gravitate towards the word Game Pass, whether they are whether they are a subscriber or not. Game Pass has pretty much set the bar. And the fact that they're potentially going to have Activision Blizzard is going to set that bar even higher. And that's the only real argument that I feel that these regulators have to make with Microsoft on this whole situation. But going down some of the roads of, somehow PlayStation and the rest of gaming hinges on the fate of Call of Duty is BS. The fact that somehow Microsoft is going to shoehorn people into having to buy Windows-based operating systems and all this other stuff because they could lock down Activision Blizzard to those platforms, that's complete crap. I mean, I could have not predicted that this was going to turn out the way it was. I knew it was going to be a battle, but I did not think it was going to be a public freaking circus for all of us pretty much consumers to watch unfold.
It's been bad, man. It's been bad to watch. So, like, as the PlayStation perspective, right? I'm the host of the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast made by the players for the players. From the get-go, I stated really clear, this is going to go through. It's going to go through, and there's going to be caveats. Because most of the times when you see big deals like this, that's what happens. There's caveats. There's there's little amendments that they have to sign to make sure these things go through. What's happening now, I see out of the EU, and they like to do this. You're right. They like to drum up support. But governments like to show people that, hey, look at what we're making big tech do. Because big tech to a lot of governments out there is worrisome and is getting way too big. And not like an Enron situation, but even something maybe possibly a little bit more dangerous in their eyes. So these governments want to show people that, hey, listen, we are putting these big, conglomerates in check, whether that's Apple, whether that's Microsoft, whether that's Google. And all three of these tech companies love to mess with each other. In fact, most of the times when there's big mergers like these, there are definitely people trying to throw wrenches in them. So to me, I'm not surprised that this is a mess. I'm not. This is kind of exactly where I thought this was going to go. When Microsoft gave has been saying now, and saying loudly that they're not going to take Call of Duty away from PlayStation anytime soon. That was something I knew from day one. I'm like, there's no way you're going to, and that was part of the concern is like, there's no way you're just going to kill off a large portion of your profit from this big moneymaker and upset a audience way larger than any of our shows put together. You're not going to anger those folks just because you want to make them switch. You want to give the illusion of choice, right? That, hey, you have a choice to come over here. The EU did point out a lot of things of just like, well, you said that with Bethesda, but what's happening with Starfield, what's happening with Redfall, and those are fair critiques by the EU side, at least in my head they are. But to me, this is where it's always going to go. This deal's gonna go through. It's gonna. And I benefit because I get to play most of these games on Game Pass, and I don't really have to think about it much. And hopefully, the management then starts to change, right? Like Bobby Kotick hopefully gets his old golden parachute. We never have to think about him or say his name ever again. So when I see like this EU guy come out here, and I don't know the EU from Adam. I'm here in the United States of America, by God. So I don't know how they operate much over there. But when I see someone go out there and say that, to me, it feels like when a politician's like, hey, y'all, I'm one of you. Look at me. Isn't gas expensive? When I fill up my Ford F-150, I feel it just like you feel it. That's how it feels to me. It's like this fake pandering to an audience somewhere. It just felt weird. And you're right. Anybody could take that because it's Twitter, it's text. You could put your own emphasis on it. And anybody could take that. Rational people could take that and just go, oh wow, that's showing some bias. And EU definitely saw that, noticed it, and went, okay, let's let's step in here because this is not the case. The EU, FTC, CMA, the VGA, they just want to show that big tech can't just do whatever they want, and so they're kind of making a public show of it. And for me, I look at what's happening now as the PlayStation's perspective, and through not what I know, but what I would assume is that Jim Ryan, as much as I don't care for him much, Jim Ryan looks really good in front of Sony right now because Jim Ryan just made Microsoft sweat a little bit and work a little harder for this deal to go through. As much as I feel like this man cares more about his cats than he does his general audience, I can't help but see this as a win when you're going up to the board of Sony. Hey, look at, I guarantee this revenue stream, this massive revenue stream, isn't going to completely leave us from here on out. You know, we're going to have the caveats that help us out because you're right, Centurion. Like, dude, PlayStation, Jim Ryan has been cutthroat to do things in order to make their consumers happy or to get consumers into their ecosystem by any means necessary. And to see this, it's a continuation of that and then such. Jim Ryan's main goal is not to make me happy. That's just the product of him trying to become the next CEO of Sony. And if I'm Sony, I'm taking a look at what Jim Ryan's been able to do and go, all right, well, if there's someone that could go up against a corporation much larger than us and take him on head on and make him bleed a little bit, well, this is probably the guy that we kind of want in our corner right here. So as much as I'm not a big fan of him, and trust me, guys, if you listen to the show or my show, you know I'm not. He looks good. He looks really good. And as much as we like to dog him and do the little dumb memes about him, he comes out looking relatively strong. Everybody kind of gets what they want out of this. I feel like Microsoft's going to get what they want, which is Activision, all the IP that comes with that, Blizzard, all the IP that comes with that, the expansion into PC, further expansion into PC, because that's what's truly important to them. And it's clear as day as you see them go, the growth potential for PC is there for Game Pass. You know, they're going to get what they feel like is important to get people on there. PlayStation is going to get what they want. They're going to just make sure that Call of Duty can't leave them, at least anytime soon. And yeah, and hopefully the workers, which is the thing I care the most about, are going to be in a better position because the management has changed. And the only thing that I'm always concerned about is that how does this merger and these acquisitions affect those folks? Because all of a sudden, these people are now, there's going to be a shift. How does that shift harm or help? That's the thing that I'm most concerned of when I take a look at any acquisition. So when I hear, you know, the only like little bit of warning when I hear like people like Bobby Kotick go like, oh yeah, management shift, nothing, there's not going to be much, things or people we got to remove. Yeah, we're everything's going to relatively be the way they are. I'm like, oof, I don't like that line. That's honestly the only line out of this week that kind of concerned me because I want him gone. I want him never to show his face in gaming again. So to me, EU guy, are they showing their bias? I don't think EU cares. I think EU wants to get a win out of Microsoft more than anything. I think when it comes to like them showing not even bias, but like, look at what they just made Apple do 2 weeks ago. Their own product, they have to put in a USB-C port on, whether you want it or not.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it does benefit us. They made them go, no. On your own product, you have to put this proprietary port on there because we said so. And that sucks because what if there's a technology one day better than USB-C? What happens there? Right? So, that eliminates Apple's choice to use their products the way they want. Now, again, in hindsight, better for us because they got a shit ton of USB-C cords. But at the end of the day, yeah, EU will flex their muscles just to make sure, or just to put these mega corporations online. So to me, I never share any sympathy for, trillion-dollar corporations, billion-dollar corporations. I say this every day. The day I stopped playing PlayStation is probably because because my entertainment is better suited somewhere else. That's what happened when Xbox lost my dollar a few years back. I came back, and I love that ecosystem now. So it's about me thinking about myself, my money, what these companies are doing and fighting for me. That's the only what experience that I want, because I'll gladly go and play anything, anywhere, doesn't matter. Because in actuality, Phil Spencer, bet he's a nice guy, but I don't know him personally, right? He's not my buddy. He's not my friend. His mission is for his shareholders. It's not towards me. But right now, our allegiances or our paths align because he's helping me out, saving me a bunch of money on Game Pass. That's the thing that I always think about. So like the day I stop playing PlayStation is probably because I'm not getting the AAA bangers, as the kids say, I hate that goddamn word, that I want from him, and I'll leave. To me, it's not because of Activision Blizzard. I don't play mostly Blizzard games. I play Call of Duty, but I'll gladly play that somewhere else. Like the platform doesn't hold me to it. And that's about it. So to me, the whole deal never struck me, struck a chord with me. I don't care if it goes. I don't care if Microsoft gets everything they want. I don't care. It doesn't concern me much. But hey, it concerns other people, I bet, and so it is what it is. But to me, I just see this as some guy just trying to pose as a regular person and it bombing. It also goes, and I'm sorry, this will be the end of my TED Talk, I promise. It also goes to show EU just met gamers and how angry we can be. So it's gonna be this circus is gonna be nuts. Okay.
Just a rebuttal, real quick.
Yeah.
I never once thought Call of Duty was gonna be exclusive. I mean, I literally got into so many debates with people, especially uber Xbox fans.
Yeah.
That I said it doesn't make financial sense to make Call of Duty exclusive. They're like, but it creates recognition for the brand. I'm like, but this isn't about you wanting, to wave the big green flag with the Xbox logo on it. This is about money. I'm sorry. It's about money. That's freaking not going to work. But for me,
you remember the arguments about Bethesda where everyone was like, they can't do it with Bethesda. It'll take too much money. It's like, well, this is that argument, but in the real world,
we're talking money on a game that releases brand new. How much money could we bet that game's gonna make right off the rip? Starfield or Redfall, we don't know. That's what I mean. You can set your watch to the freaking revenue that freaking Call of Duty makes.
That's exactly what I mean. Like, people were making that argument about Bethesda, and I'm like, no, it doesn't. They don't make enough money. Like, Call of Duty clears Bethesda's revenue by itself.
No,
probably this week.
Yeah,
let's be real.
Like, it makes so much money.
The only reason why I've ever had anything, because I have a PlayStation, I enjoy PlayStation, I enjoy Xbox. I just also happen to have seen how, over the years, like, I hate bringing up the court of law, but I've seen people in an actual court of law get graded on a curve where this guy gets to get away literally with murder, but meanwhile this guy over here is gonna freaking get strung up because of something piddly. I just don't think, I really believe that, at least in my opinion, these businesses should be graded on the same level. And the thing is, in my opinion, is Sony has flexed this generation based on their market dominance. When you have market dominance, you can raise prices, and the masses just bow their heads and hold out their hand and pay the extra money and don't have a damn thing to say about it, because that's having market dominance. That's how we've got $70 games, price hikes on the consoles, proverbials in the VR2 costing more than a console. PlayStation has flexed their market dominance, but meanwhile the EU and other regulators are concerned that Microsoft might raise the price of Game Pass.
Well, and to me, it's not even just like market dominance. Like, just look at Nintendo. They'll make you buy cardboard for God's sakes. When you got the brand name, they'll make you. Like Nintendo to me is like notorious. Like if there's anyone I feel like it's the worst, it's them. It's like they'll like talk about $70 like remakes. Like these guys will do lazy $60 remasters, right? And be like, here's Donkey Kong, Tropical Freeze again. Here's that Toad game.
Skyward Sword.
Yeah, it's just it it. You're right. These companies will take as much as we're willing to give them, and that's the saddest thing. So to me, yeah, like the Bethesda thing, that's apples and oranges. Because like Bethesda, as much as I love them, and I love a good Skyrim, and they'll sell me Skyrim over and over again, that ain't Call of Duty.
No,
That ain't.
No,
Exactly.
it's completely different. It's two different things. And listen, at the start of this, I remember a lot of Xbox fans being like, "Oh, they have to make it called exclusive. Why would you do it? It's such a big deal." Obviously, we just reiterated that they were saying that. And this show and myself included, I knew when Phil put that tweet out that their intention was to keep Call of Duty out. He put it out very early. Listen, the bottom line is you're going to get more clarity this week on this. Call of Duty, as long as PlayStation exists as long as they exist and they don't go like Twitter or haywire and get canceled or something crazy. That's why that you don't sign an indefinite contract. You just never know what the future holds. But aside from that, just generally speaking, it's always going to be on PlayStation. 60% to 65% of all sales from COD come from PlayStation. And if you put your game in Game Pass like they want to, you're going to probably lose a little bit of sales up there. So there's no reason to, take it off of PlayStation. As far as this whole thing with this guy, I agree with Mr. Bad Brit. It's just he basically tried to get, drum up support and say, hey, I'm one of you guys, and don't worry. It was probably not the smartest thing he did. Definitely got spoken to. I don't want to get in trouble, but, he probably got a little bit of heat. And you just, this whole thing has gotten very political, and a lot of good points made. They definitely want to show that they're fighting the big corporation, and I do agree. There'll definitely be some consent decrees. EU basically said that they don't foresee this deal getting passed unless there is some type of, they meet the standards that they uphold. And probably there's always going to be, there's stuff like, hey, if Phil leaves, do you have the same intentions of keeping Call of Duty on PlayStation? So some of that stuff I think is going to be written, and there's definitely going to be assurances. But I'm not 100% exactly sure that the deal does go through 100% because it has gotten to the point where I don't know if, like the CMAs, if the way that was written, if it's going to be held up in good faith. Sometimes politics do get involved. If it's all centered around Call of Duty, I don't think that there's a real argument against. Like Centurion said, maybe there's different arguments that you can go about. The one about being tied to Windows, that's silly because
they're not on anything but Windows.
Microsoft sees the writing on the wall with Windows. They're declining. People don't use PCs as much as they used to. I would say the next 20 years, you're probably just going to have very few PCs. Your phone is going to basically be your all-in-one, be able to print to anything. That type of stuff, business applications, all type of stuff will be able to do through mobile or network or cloud. You're not really going to need some robust PC. You'll always probably have PC for PC gaming, but for certain things like what they used to have, like work applications and stuff like that, The whole world of Windows is dwindling. It used to be the biggest part of Microsoft. So I just think that I think with Activision, Xbox, basically what they utilized and they looked at Bethesda, obviously two different animals, and they said, hey, this can solidify our first party exclusive console exclusive problem. We'll have all these studios making exclusives. And then when they look to Activision, I do believe that the majority of what Activision makes, whether it's especially games that have lineage, World of Warcraft, is there something there or anything that Crash, those games will show up multi-platform. It's basically a Game Pass play, and it's an expansion play, and more so, they want. I believe in my heart of hearts that even if this deal had to exclude Call of Duty and the Activision IPs for console, I think Xbox would still look into doing the deal, obviously at a lower price, because they want, as we said, they want the PC side. They definitely want the biggest thing is they want the Crash, the game Candy Crush, and the mobile side. That's basically where this is all about. So,
this is their expansion, and that's a great point, Tim. Like, this is their expansion into mobile, and you're seeing $1 trillion company and how they would do it, because like PlayStation's doing the same thing. It's just on a much smaller scale because they're not $1 trillion company. They don't got the wallet to do it. You're seeing a lot of these companies build up their mobile portfolio.
Apple,
Xbox, Apple, Android. You're seeing 2K, like they bought Zynga. Like these companies are making, they're making an expansion to mobile.
Right.
And for Call of Duty, this is the expansion of Game Pass. Now you're saying to all your PC players that, hey, Call of Duty's going to be here. And the day that Call of Duty's on cloud, that's a game changer. And then you also have Call of Duty Mobile. Like, this is Microsoft's expansion for Game Pass in its biggest way. And, to quote Jeff Grubb, to quote Jeff Grubb, I heard him on Windows Central a few weeks back. 2023 is going to be the truest litmus test of Game Pass. Like, look, it's a slow year for Xbox this year, right? No doubt about it. But 2023, you're going to have, hopefully, Hellblade 2. You're going to have Redfall. You're going to have Starfield. And then, hopefully, by the time, you're going to have Call of Duty on Game Pass. And
you won't next year. 2023 is still within the PlayStation.
I would say, Centurion, I would agree with you before this, but I think once the deal's done, that Call of Duty will be in Game Pass.
I don't think. I don't think the 20. It's me, not it's Crusader. From what I understand, the marketing deal with PlayStation goes through the 2023 year.
It's 2024.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. 2024 will be the year it'll come.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I kind of we'll wait and see what would happen, but it's definitely possible that they'll honor it. But I don't know if they could still honor the contract exclusive DLC and put on Game Pass. But I know that they want. I know like Diablo, that game will definitely be on. Call of Duty obviously will be the biggest part of it. If it said would be done, it would be very interesting to see. Now, I thought they were skipping 2023, but now they aren't, right? They have a game coming out.
It's a premium product. From what Jason Schreier has said, it is a story and map expansion that is going to be priced at $70, but it's going to be part of Modern Warfare 2.
Sounds like ODST, but for Call of Duty.
The Endless.
It's something that I expect a lot of games to do moving forward, which is launch a second game within the first game, because you can use all the same assets and you can get the game out soon.
Right. Well, that's what they wanted to do with the Endless, and then that's felt falling through because of 343 basically went to shit, and we obviously know it's under new management. But that was the original plan for
For Halo.
For Halo, they were going to have it, past. I guess it would be season 4, and then the endless would be 2023. Obviously, that's not happening.
From what I understand, it's a similar plan for the future of Gears of War and Forza
right
as well.
But listen, I think at the end of the day, this is going to get pretty messy, and there is still a chance. I want to tell Xbox fans, to be honest, even though Xbox itself feels confident, I do think that there could be a wrench in. There's been times where government, regulators have stood up and they want to make a stand, and whether it be the FTC, CMA, or EA regulators, you can never think that something's going to be done. But I do agree with Mr. Bad Brit that this deal is going to have some contingencies, have to have some consent decrees, just to have assurances, to, like he says, for all parties to be, feel confident or feel safe in they're not going to get shafted. And honestly, I don't think that's the case. This is not going to be like Bethesda deal. Completely different animal, completely different mindset, and completely different goal orientated. Like we said, this deal is most likely, the crux of the deal is mobile expansion, BattleNet. I know that's a big part of it, and obviously Game Pass expansion into cloud and stuff like that.
Now, let's see. Getting to some other panel members here. General MLD, buddy, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, given the situation. I know a lot of people, again, we're just talking about this whole, Twitter spiel, and it didn't end up very good for this EU regulator. Ended up eating some words, backtracking a bit. You got any thoughts on this?
Oh yeah, I was one of those guys, just saying my 2 cents to that guy. Basically, I always knew that. It's common knowledge here that Europe is PlayStation land. It has been for almost every generation. They just simply prefer that console more than Xbox, and it's just a more generally difficult time for Xbox to really make a dent in that area. Like UK being the main exception. So when the guy said my PlayStation, that was a pure conflict of interest. I think no one knew what this guy did for a living, right?
Yeah.
We didn't know if he was on the committee, if he made an actual decision. We just knew that he's talking about the commission. He says my PlayStation. It's kind of like what we were all thinking, like mostly Xbox fans. Basically, there's some guy, an authority figure, and especially coming off the CMA comments, you got someone deliberately expressing a personal stake in the matter, and that personal stake is a PlayStation bias. So, of course, you got all the Xbox fans, all the main personalities on Twitter just dogpiling on this guy, because at the end of the day, like, I don't know, I feel like he was also gaslighting us, because he's saying we're working to ensure Call of Duty will stay on PlayStation. Like, how many times does Phil Spencer have to tell everybody it is not leaving PlayStation? Like, they're saying these things over and over again, telling this lie, as if, like, the more you say it, the more true it'll be. Xbox has been publicly saying this whole time, Call of Duty is staying multiplat. It makes financial sense to keep this multiplat. Like, yeah, like, you're talking millions upon millions of sales from PlayStation gamers. All that revenue will just poof, go away. Sure, some will switch over, but not a lot at first. Not everyone. And I think that's the point.
And that's the thing. Like,
yeah,
Microsoft's been telegraphing this for a bit, but Jim Ryan is just it's like he's cutting into frame with a little piece of paper. He's like, but write that down though.
Yeah.
And then this is a legal document right here where the X is. That, I think that's this guy's goal. It's like, get it in paper, because you can say a lot, but
oh yeah, and that's another thing. Like with Jim Ryan there, like I feel like this guy is just poking the hornet's nest one too many times here. Like Xbox already said after this deal would go through, they're not done with acquisitions. They're going to keep going.
Yep.
And I feel like, yeah, like they're kind of eroding any remaining goodwill there is between Xbox and sure, their Xbox will keep their own games on PlayStation. Like they're not going to just take them away. But what I'm trying to say is maybe in the future, Xbox is just going to go harder on the money hats, like with the PlayStation, like how PlayStation does with third-party games. The Xbox can just do more of that. Maybe it depends what Xbox will acquire in the future. Will they acquire a bunch of little guys to stay under the radar? Will they go for another publisher? I feel like Xbox, they're really dug in to what they got to do right now. And I don't know. I feel like Jim Ryan, PlayStation, I don't know. I feel like they're almost making it personal right now. And it's going to drive Xbox to do what they're doing even harder. So, hey, I mean, hey, win-win for us, right? So, I don't know. Like, needing to sign a contract for Call of Duty, I think it is ridiculous. I feel like what they initially planned before, like a 3-year contract, and kind of renegotiate at that point, because you don't see where the IP is at that point. Because you have like games like Call of Duty Vanguard, where the IP took a serious hit, but then it could bounce back with Modern Warfare 2. Like any IP can live or die, increase or decrease in popularity by the game. So to promise it forever, like we don't know where Call of Duty is going to be in 10 years.
And that's a great point, General. The thing I would say is I don't think like this is not like and forever and here on. No, it's more like you promise us 3 years. We want more than 3 years. And what I've been saying a lot on the trophy room and everywhere is like understand like ain't nothing personal in business, right? So Jim Ryan sees an opportunity to say, I can't. First off, our portfolio, and this comes from the PlayStation gamer, don't you know? But like our portfolio has some of the greatest first-party IP there are, right? Rivaled only by Nintendo. Our games, we know what they are. They're open world games, they're action games, they're narrative-driven games, right? That's our bread and butter. The problem is gaming and development is getting more and more costly. And at the same exact time, we need to start branching off into doing games of service, because we could see with games like Fortnite, games like Warzone, that if there's an opportunity to make hundreds of millions, billions of dollars, it's in these games of service games, while at the same exact time remaining true to our quota, which is the single player, really important games. They see Call of Duty leaving and going, oh shoot, that's gonna hurt us. No matter if they're still the biggest company or whatever, it's still gonna hurt them big time financially. So they need time, and this is PlayStation's mission. They need time to find 1 or 2 games of service games that are going to hit. That could be The Last of Us. Hell, that could be, I don't know, Twisted Metal, whatever it is. They need those games to hit so that it could supplement Call of Duty by the time Call of Duty decides to leave, or by the time that fan base shrinks because it's mostly on Game Pass or Xbox or PC, whatever have you. So what this move really is, guys, is PlayStation is buying time so that they can get their games of service out the door, because they have 10 games of service that they have planned. They're chucking ideas at the wall. 12 now. And guess what? I'm thinking 1 or 2 of them are going to hit and be successful. And I'm being generous. They are throwing ideas at the wall to see which ones stick.
Well,
that's
that's
60%
something hypothetical that they're going to take away Call of Duty, but they're not.
No, and
they
that's the
have
thing.
to be in the position to prepare as if they were. I mean, that's what they should be doing as a company, right?
Yeah.
Xbox says they're not taking it away right now, right? And that's the case right now. But like Tim alluded to earlier, what if, or I don't know if it was Tim or Mr. Badbit, what if Phil leaves? What if Satya leaves?
Yeah.
And there's totally new management at Microsoft. What then? And they decide that at this point, no, we want to take all of our IPs and completely lock them down.
Yeah.
Right. You get the new guy like Ballmer.
What position would they be put in? Jim Ryan has to prepare his company for that outcome, right? Like, and no one can blame him for doing that, because his job is to be the chief executive officer to his company and protect his company's interests. And so he has to treat this deal with Microsoft as if Call of Duty will not be on his system, whether it's today, tomorrow, 6 years in the future, or 10 years in the future, or 20 years in the future.
Yeah.
He has to create a business model and plan that prepares them for that eventuality.
Bam. Bingo.
Yeah.
100% what Crusader said.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
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 And that's why, like, when Jim Ryan was going after Phil Spencer, I said he was no further in the wrong. Like he was no more.
I don't think he should have made it public.
Right. Now, yeah, you're right. Should he have made it public? I don't know. I think he made it public because he took offense to the interview that Phil made in the first place. Right. And you can debate whether or not he should have made it public or not, and the rightness or wrongness of that. But his stance was that, I cannot, we can't say that Call of Duty will be forever on our platform, so we need to know. We need to have an assurance.
He's like, and that's his goal, is like, get it in writing, whatever it is.
And
if Microsoft truly wants to treat this like a Minecraft, excellent.
They
awesome.
are. They definitely are.
Yeah.
I think that's, and like I said, there'll be some more clarity. There'll be more clarity on that, this week. But listen, at the end of the day, I kind of, at the first time, I didn't like how Jim handled it, but if you really do look at it, he's doing what he has to do to ensure, the prosperity of his company, or Call of Duty's a big deal. It definitely is. You look, people were saying it was on the decline, and then this year it's just like, it's amazing how it just blew. It took over. It did great.
Yeah, to put it in perspective, I've not hit prestige or prestige level in a Call of Duty since God knows when. Like, I even loved like 2019, but I don't think I got to like level 55. I'm playing it every single night. I'm level 55. I'm getting gold camos, and like I'm back in. Like, it's already made more money than in Vanguard in Europe.
I know.
So like
already it's already last week they passed it. What's crazy too is that and this is sometimes why reviewers that you question it, like they seem to just follow the same they just seem to follow the same line of thinking, but there's no way this game should be the Metacritic that it is. I definitely think that it should have done a lot better. People were just kind of, when they reviewed it, I guess they thought it was just going to be, fatigue or whatever. But for it to have a 74 Metacritic and be this successful, and people genuinely really like the game. They say the campaign is awesome, and stuff like that. So I kind of thought
that's the thing. I don't really, like, for me, like, Metacritic concerned, like, I only care when it's like to make sure that I'm making it, like, for example, if God of War got a 74, I would not have bought the Jotunheim or whatever edition, right? But when it comes to like Madden, we don't take a look at Madden's score. We don't typically, the gamers don't care. Or FIFA, those games are probably sitting around 60, 70, right? But they still sell bajillions of dollars, right? They still make that buck. Like, for me, Call of Duty is one of my favorite games this year. I can't believe I'm saying that, because usually it's not. So like, my personal review, or like the number I'd put on, definitely would be higher than whoever at IGN rated it a 6. But like, to each his own. It is what it is. Like, to me, when it comes to Call of Duty, the only time that it would probably hurt its sales is if it was Vanguard and it was truly something that bad.
Now I have to ask Eric Shockley, buddy, what do you think of the comments here? Do you agree with what everybody's commenting on? Do you have your own thoughts? Please chime in.
Yeah, for the most part, most of what's been said. But yeah, it definitely, we already had kind of this like notion of like EU is going to be like the hardest on them. And there's already kind of that like, hey, they're going to be more harsh on them than probably, and be more in favor for Sony. And then when a comment comes like that from like one of the people that's at least supposed to be somewhat attached or involved, it definitely kind of leans toward and a lot of people have pointed out, like, what about all the other deals that Sony does? Because people get that, hey, exclusive deals have, you know, been happening forever, but like Sony is also kind of like doing like they're trying to lock down like every major third party, you know, exclusive. So they're just trying to like, hey, we're not going to buy them, but hey, we'll lock them all up for the first year or two. So pretty much you get, you know, we'll try to lock up as many as we can. If not all of them, if they could, they would.
Are we still here?
Oh,
Did Shockley
Maybe
die?
Shockley,
Jim
you cut
just-
out.
Jim shot him.
He said too much.
I was about to say
He
Jim
said
Ryan.
too much.
Jim Ryan just muted him and pulled him from his chair. Oh, I don't know what happened there, Eric.
No, but I think overall, I think we're all really sick of the freaking regulator talk. I mean, listen, I've been a gamer all my life. I've been socially talking about video games on forums since 2007. Been involved in all the great debates. This one just goes on. Like, I don't want to know about regulatory boards. I don't want to talk about this shit anymore. I cannot wait. Give us a decision, either not going to do it or going to do it hopefully by the shortest time that they possibly can, because I am so sick of talking about it. Honestly, I talk about it. I do 2 podcasts, this and RDX, and like I said, it's at the point where it's driving me to lunacy. Like, I can't stop.
It's the same.
You know, it's just like,
No, it's sorry to interrupt, but it's the same thing. It's
No, go
like
ahead.
all these topics come up. It's like, oh, the CMA says this, regulators say that. It's like, you know, we like talking about Xbox stuff, and like everybody's excited about certain things, and you know,
Right.
and just in the industry in general. But like, you know, the deal was announced in what, mid-January, and we're coming up to December.
a
It's
whole
like,
year talking about it.
and it's like, you know, I don't want to annoy everybody tuning in, you know, with like, oh, this
No,
little
it's
bit of
not your
information,
fault.
you know, this little bit of information here and there, because it's like, is it really, you know, that big of a deal? This little bit here, this little bit here, you know, sometimes it's really not, but you know, some other shows go into like, you know, they just go really heavily on it. Yeah,
Whole legality, he's great, but he really details it. But I just like, as a gamer, like, you know, I'm sure even both sides, you know, we like talking about games or, you know, this and that, but like, there's just the whole, you know, this guy making tweets or CMA phase 1, phase 2, but you know, all these things that come out, it's like, wow, it's like, you know, I don't even like the back and forth at Sony and Xbox. You know, you know, you're seeing that side, but you know, like I said, I just hope I hope they get some kind of decision or whatever, you know, sooner rather than later, because it's been since January.
Yeah,
and Xbox has had a light year too in general, so it's like even double that. You know, this is like what we have to talk about.
Yeah.
It is that fatigue of like talking about, like, it's like, yeah, we're not regulars. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know any of this. I could just make assumptions, and you know, it's kind of like when I was talking to my co-host Kyle about it a few weeks back, or like 2 weeks ago, I think it was. He's just like, man, I don't know, man. I'm just tired. Just tired of talking. Like, could it be something else? It's like, I wish. I just wish.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
mean, I think Xbox fans, we're all just dug in. We just want to win, you know. Like, we all know how this year's been going. It's a bit dry on the AAA games, and I think we're all just, we keep hearing the promises of 2023 and how great it's going to be. Like, you know, like, we're all just excited. We all just want it to happen. So I think that's why, and even the other side, the naysayers, they're also dug in. They also want this thing to fail, just to make fun of us. So
of course,
at this point, it's just like every side doesn't want to hear about it anymore. But we also have it's also a personal stake in it now. We're all invested in it now, like it or not. Sick of it.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there too. Definitely, I want the deal to go through. But you know, obviously Xbox probably definitely has a plan B. I definitely don't think. Like I said, my heart of hearts is I do feel like the deal will go through. There might be some stuff that you know, podcasts or, you know, Xbox fans don't like. because there's going to be some consent decrees, and it might span more. It might span past Call of Duty. It might involve other IPs. Which, for me, listen, at the end of the day, I think that if it's on Game Pass, then I'm happy because it directly affects me, and wherever else you want to do, I don't care. I think that that's fair. And like I said, I remember the beginning of this, there was so many Xbox fans saying, "Oh, Phil's weak. He's this is your chance to have an exclusive." It wouldn't be right to really exclude. This has been now how many games over the years? The online community. You see how big it is. It's a little different when you're talking about that versus Bethesda games, which aren't as big. And like you said, somebody said that just this week probably, could be more revenue than Bethesda's made and whatever. But it's just different situations. But honestly, I don't have any kind of problems with, to be honest, any Crash or maybe new IPs. I could see being smart to be exclusive. But like a game like World of Warcraft 2, if that ever came out, or what other Crash. I don't have any problem with that.
Spyro, all that, yeah.
Spyro, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, it's a huge win for Xbox gamers. Like, sorry, for some reason my mic switched to a different mic right when I was talking, but it's a win for Xbox gamers in general. Like, if this does go through, you're getting, whether or not it's exclusive, you're getting a huge infusion into your Game Pass subscription. So your value of that thing's just gonna get ridiculous. Even if they have to increase the price a little, you're getting a steal.
I keep telling people, like, why do you care so much about these games that were formerly multi-platform games? Why do you care so much if they suddenly go exclusive when you're being handed to them at no additional cost to what you're already paying? Like, why does it matter, like, that much? Like, I get that we wanted a bigger single-player portfolio, and Bethesda made total sense, and so did the ones that the acquisitions made in, like, what, 2017 through 19, right? Like, that made sense. But, like, this is a different animal. Like, what does it really, really matter, right? Like, is it just just who cares? Just put them everywhere. But as long as I'm not having to pay for them any more than I'm already paying, it's gonna be great. And we did have a question in chat. Someone asked me where were the regulators in 2017 regarding, like, the delistings of all the Spider-Man stuff. I can tell you where the regulators were. The regulators were we had worldwide conservative governments with regulators that didn't care. That's where they were, right? Like, some of the most egregious acquisitions of all time made it through between 2016 and 2020. There is no reason Disney should have been able to buy Fox.
Yep.
None. Like,
And
you want to
even
talk
then,
about
there was concessions there.
Yeah, there
Even
were
then,
concessions there.
concessions.
Yes. Yeah, they had to get rid of they had to spin off Fox the Fox Sports because they didn't want Disney to own that and ESPN.
Yep.
Well, Disney didn't want Fox News. They already made them spin that off. Like, but that's where it was. And what changed in between now and then? Well, the world basically switched its political alignment. Now I'm not going to get into politics here. I don't want to. You want that? You can follow me on Twitter. I'll talk to you there about it.
Yeah.
But, like, that's the difference in the regulatory agencies. That's why the regulators have a little bit more teeth right now, because if you want to look at political trends, the more conservative a government is, the less the regulators interfere with anything. Doesn't mean they don't, just means it's less. And then when you move to a more liberal side of things, the more regulation you have and the more control is put on it. And that, again, that's just how governments worldwide just kind of operate, right? And right now we're in a quite liberal state of the world, which is why the regulators are they feel a little bit more empowered because they have the backings of their governments. And that's just how it is.
Yeah.
And so, like, where was where was, the regulators? There are some things that I think the regulators I think that there are some things that all of the companies in gaming have done that regulators should have slapped their wrists on, whether it be stuff with like the quality control of controllers from all three companies,
That
right?
sucks.
They should have been slapped back and forth by the regulators for stuff like that. And so where were the regulators? I know it's really annoying that we have to keep talking about this. I hate this conversation personally. We've talked about it so many times, but I would rather have the regulators be a little bit more active so that actual nonsense doesn't happen. And even if we have to talk about shit like this over and over again, like there are some, like Nintendo put out that thing today or a couple days ago that like if you're rude to their staff, now granted, don't be freaking rude to the staff, but if you're being rude to their staff, they won't repair your stuff. That's a big no. If you buy a product, the company is
no.
repair it.
Real
for
talk. Real talk. I worked in retail. Listen, if you're a dick.
If you're a dick, right? But set up the
yeah.
process to be automated so that if your controller's broken, it's an automated process and it comes back. You don't just not repair the product. That's a big no-no.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What was that,
Let's
Karen?
be honest, though. We all kind of think, if someone's an asshole to you, you don't want to really want to help them either.
I absolutely agree, and that's why your solution to the problem is automated systems, so you don't have to deal with the people. As someone, I'm a system admin worker who does ticket-based work for like 60% of their day. I know how bad the scum of the earth can be. I have been yelled at by people who are below my pay grade. who think that because they've been at this organization longer that but even though my job title is actually higher than theirs, and it's ludicrous. So I get people being rude, but like that there are solutions that you can come to that aren't good solutions, like in a legal manner, right? And that's one of them that I expect a regulator to slap them in this the liberal based regulation world we live in 2022.
Yeah.
I wonder what their next play is. Oh yeah, no good.
I'll tell you right now, if this acquisition had been proposed in 2018, there would have been no questions about it at all.
Yeah.
Which for good or bad, that's a good thing.
I agree with that.
No.
Yeah, it's smaller than the Fox.
And
purchase.
if
It's not
smaller,
even
yeah.
close.
if this had gotten passed in 2018 and Bethesda was purchased after, I think there would be more scrutiny on Bethesda.
Yep, exactly. And so, and the EU Outlook didn't there was an actual person from the EU on Twitter who talked about the deal.
It was a person that is not involved in the actual.
No. There was another one. There was one who was actually involved and had a nice statement. And they ended up basically saying that, like, look, we don't see the deal going through without concessions, and most of it's going to revolve around Call of Duty. But if those concessions are made, we see the deal easily going through.
Oh yeah,
that was what was said.
That was
right?
I read that. That was I think it was an Italian.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, they basically said we do not foresee this passing without some types of I had said that earlier, but that was from. But that makes sense. Listen, I think many people have said that there's going to be some consent decrees, but listen, it's a $70 billion deal, and you're gonna. This is about par for the course for a deal that size, and that's why I warn Xbox fans who maybe, like you said, dug in, General, dug in, and all definitely want it. There is a possibility that the deal, just because of the size of it, because of the size of Xbox, they go sour on it. I don't foresee that happening. I'm surprised. Listen. It's gotten a little messy on the UA side. I have to commend Lena Khan and the FTC. They're doing it professional. You haven't heard a peep. They very well could have some real, and I'm sure they do because they're in the phase 2 as well. But you really, for this stuff to be splattered across Twitter is kind of jarring, and I don't think that. They were planning on that.
Mm-hmm.
It would be interesting to see their next move if this didn't go through. Like what?
Yeah, that's the
Microsoft
thing.
did.
It won't be. It's not gonna. I would think that you'd see some real, you'd see some. I think you'd see I think you'd see some moves real quick, maybe especially within Bracer Group. How they. I think that's very odd, or I think it's not odd. That's not the word. I think it's very. There's definitely something going on where they're actively sending developers over to help on a game.
Mm-hmm. But again, guys, like this is something that we could probably go on and on about. But it's just interesting that, again, this whole like more stuff with going on with the whole Xbox Activision stuff with regulators, and again, hopefully we learn more soon. Obviously, more time needs to pass, but the gears are in motion. The gears are in motion. But speaking of which, speaking about gears, guys, let's move on to our last topic, and I'm gonna segue into something. The past week saw the 16th anniversary of Gears of War. And to celebrate it, Netflix has announced that it has partnered with the Coalition to adapt the Gears of War franchise into a live action feature, and as well as an adult animated series. Now, there's no word of a cast yet, but hey, we can only begin to speculate on that. And hey, I'm pretty excited, to be honest with you. I've wanted to see the Gears of War IP. I was kind of curious what they were going to do. We've seen Halo expanded into a TV show and different offshoots. But Eric Shockley, pal, I mean, I'll lead off with you on this one. What do you think of the announcement? Gears getting like a full-length, basically, film. Is this something that you'd be interested in checking out on Netflix?
Definitely. Yeah, the live action I'll be interested to see how that goes, because obviously we've seen Halo. I mean, some of the fight scenes looked, I would say, pretty good or decent on the Halo. That wasn't its issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think they'll have that much, because they can probably use. I mean, they probably won't use like practical stuff, but they definitely can with like some of the suits or the goriness that they're gonna have to probably chainsaw somebody in half. That's got to be in there. So
Absolutely.
if you saw Dawn of the Dead, where they had the awesome chainsaw scene,
Yes.
like they can definitely do that and make it look pretty sick, because that's got to be in there. But I'm definitely excited to see it as far as the live action, although I don't know how they're gonna. I don't know what their plan is as far as like if they're gonna take different group of people, so this way they're not like, hey, how do we replace Marcus Phoenix, persona? Because obviously, I know Dave Bautista says he wants to do it. Also, the voice, the guy that does the voice, it's so iconic. So
well,
it's
that's
easier
the
to get away
question.
from that with Master Chief.
That's the question, though. I mean, would they do it? Would they do it even pre? Like Marcus Phoenix, would they go a little earlier? Would they go later?
Oh, okay.
Right? It depends what era.
Yeah, I guess that would work. But if they did do just like start from like the first Gears of War 1 game, I kind of feel like he might be obviously too old, but like I couldn't see somebody else doing Coltrane other than I forget the actor. He's been in a bunch of stuff, but
plays him. Yeah.
Yeah. Because like that's iconic. So if he could maybe pull it off, but I don't know at this point. If had they done the movie like a decade ago, he probably could, because he was still, from the last time I saw him, keeping up like in good shape. I don't know what but that was years ago. So I'd probably be more excited for the animated series, because I guess they obviously said it was going to be like an adult animated series, probably like they did with Castlevania, where it's going to be mature, gory, and then they can do a lot more with that. Would love to see like some of the early stages, kind of like where you had like the Animatrix, where it showed you like what happened before the Matrix. So shows kind of like the I'm trying to think of the oil that the Pendulum Wars, I think it was called, before like Emergence Day. Like you could lead into that and make it a compelling story, or show us like Emergence Day and like from Write a Good Story, showing kind of like that early stuff that we never got to see. That would be compelling to fans that probably, I'm sure there's books on the games, but people that didn't read books off the Gears of War series, that'd be cool because we haven't seen that. So I would definitely probably be even more excited for that than the live action, but it would be cool to see what they can pull off for live action for Gears of War, because just the amount of gore, I don't know if they're going to go that hardcore. I see them doing that in the animated because they'll not worry about it because it's all just, anime, so there's a ton of bloody, but the amount of gore, but no, there's things like the Terrifier 2, so if they can show that on my Xbox, if anyone's seen that, I'm sure they can get away with any the Gears of War goreness on Netflix. So no, but yeah, I'm excited. So hopefully it works out. Hopefully they cast the right people, because that's the other thing. I wouldn't want them just cast it like they did like with like, I'm just thinking back to like the Doom movie that was terrible. I just feel like they might go down this road, just get like some big bulky guys that maybe aren't the best, with the acting chops, and then it's just not, because those voice actors, the guys that did those characters, like, are really good at what they do. So can whoever they cast pull it off? So we'll see.
Yeah. Like, again, I'm very curious to see. Obviously, I've seen Microsoft and Xbox be a little more expansive in their wanting to put the IP out on other mediums. Obviously, Halo. There's a Minecraft film in development, if I'm not mistaken, with Warner Brothers. Grounded is getting something as well. Actually,
animated with Netflix.
Yeah, with Netflix. That's correct. Fallout has an Amazon show currently in the works. They're filming that. Second season of Halo as well with Paramount. Yeah, they got their hands on a lot of things right now. They want to be creative with their IPs. Crusader, I mean, I don't know. What's your take on this? I mean, it's pretty adventurous with the IP, but is this something that you'd be looking forward to?
So, the live action film, based on Netflix's track record with live action content, where basically the only adaptation they've made that's live action that's any good is The Witcher, I am not holding my breath that the live action movie will be good at all. I'm not excited for it. If it's good, I will watch it, but I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not excited for the live action. Now, conversely, that animated series, I am stoked for, right?
100%.
Because Netflix has had fire adaptations in the animated section. Both things that they funded to bring over to the United States and do the dubs and stuff from like an anime perspective, like Seven Deadly Sins was fantastic. I'm not a big anime guy, but I did watch that and I liked it. But then you have Castlevania, which was great. You have Arcane, the League of Legends
phenomenal
game. Oh yeah, I can't believe that, like, that came out of nowhere, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing with the reviews of it. Like, I still have to finish it, but like some of my friends who don't care about League of Legends at all, like, I don't care about League of Legends at all, but like some of my friends who don't care about it all, it's like, this is fantastic, right? I had no idea that League of Legends had a world this cool.
Yeah, big same.
And Edge Runners, the most recent one, the Cyberpunk one, was excellent too, right? That they teamed up with CD Projekt Red and I forget which anime studio to make that animated one-off of Cyberpunk. And then they had the animated Witcher show. I think it's called Nightmare of the Wolf. It wasn't a show, it was a movie, an animated movie starring young Vesemir.
I did not see that.
It's not as good as the other things we just mentioned, right? But it is good. It is worth the watch, right? It's like, if I was to give it a number, and like those are like in the 9s or high 8s, this one would be in the low 8s, maybe high 7s. Like, worth your time, but like not insane, if that makes sense. But I really liked it. We watched it the one day. I thought it was really, really well done. If you're a fan of like the Witcher games, I think you'll really like the show. It's not a show. It is a one-off movie. But yeah, really excited for that animated show. And this is a trend we're seeing more and more around the industry in general, because it's a way to create a like secondary revenue stream from IPs you own and maybe aren't exceptionally active or are in between like a development cycle or things like that. We just saw a couple days ago, Dragon Age had a Netflix animated show announced.
Correct. Yeah.
And that looks like it's going to be really cool. There's rumors of a Elder Scrolls live action show trying to be picked up somewhere. Those are from like a year or so ago. We haven't heard anything about that. Same thing. We haven't heard anything about the rumored Mass Effect show that is supposedly being pitched. There was big rumors going on around that, and then what's his name? The guy who was The Witcher. He's not anymore. Superman.
Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill
Got you.
posted a picture of himself reading a script, but he used really bad blurring tools to blur it, and people were able to unblur it, and it was literally just the Wikipedia page for Mass Effect 3. So like, you know, there is a huge interest in gaming in general to get these IPs into what's called a transmedia state, where they're across media, right? And it's not shocking to me because it's a huge way to make more money off of the things you already own, just in different ways to different audiences, right? Because like my mom, she's a gamer. She plays mobile games. She's not like us. She's not out here playing God of War or Halo or Pokemon or stuff like that, right? But she plays games on her phone. I'm getting her iPad so that she can have a little bit more fun with them. But
Nice.
you know, but she watched The Witcher. I convinced her over. I'm like, you gotta try The Witcher. You gotta watch it. You gotta watch it. You gotta watch it. You'll love it. You like Henry Cavill. You'll love it. She's like, I don't know. It's about that game, and I don't know anything about the game. And then she watched it, and she was like, this is I can't. She watched both seasons back to back, and she's
Yeah.
like, I have to wait. And she was
I mean-
devastated when she heard about Henry Cavill leaving.
And,
So,
and
like-
real talk,
Yeah.
Crusader.
Yeah.
Same thing with my brother with The Last of Us. Same
Wait, go
exact thing.
Is he gonna watch the show?
He watched the trailer to the show,
Oh, okay.
and he was just like, "Oh, I need to play a game to catch up."
Yep.
And so when people are like, "Why do they make the PS5 version of this game?"
It's
For
because
my
of the show.
brother.
Yeah. It's for your brother. It's for the show.
Yeah,
Yep.
and he was just like, "Joe, that was one of the best games I've ever played." I'm like, "I've been telling you this for
Well-
almost 10 years, Dan."
And we saw what happened with Cyberpunk, right? Everyone saw the Steam charts for Cyberpunk. It's not as obvious on console because we aren't able to like track live.
Oh,
how
they
many players are in the
exploded.
game.
They exploded.
Yeah, they exploded for like a week straight, and it kept breaking its concurrent players like
Yeah.
at once. It was insane, and it was all over the Steam charts for weeks. This is why they do it, right? Because you can build an audience that hasn't played your game by dropping it in a media form that appeals to more people. And that's also the concept behind the cloud gaming, right? The cloud gaming targets people like my mom in the same way, but it's to get those kind of game experiences on someone's cell phone, right?
Yeah.
And I think we were talking about it earlier with like Persona 5, right? The turn-based games are going to be the biggest winners in that space because they actually work well on a phone, right? The input latency doesn't matter. They can be touch enabled pretty easily, stuff like that. And we're going to see more and more of this where games are going to go to new mediums because it grows the IP, it grows the game, and the game grows, and now more people are interested in the show, and now the show is made more interested in the game, and it's this positive feedback loop so long as you have good entries in both. Looking at, well, and the Halo show made a lot of people interested in Halo. It just didn't make the Halo fans themselves happy, so it didn't complete the loop. But like, I mean, I know some people who liked the Halo show who know nothing about Halo, right? And I'm like, well, it's not. You play the games have a better story. You'll like the games more. But like, they got the games and started playing them. Why? Because they watched the Halo show, and that's the whole concept behind this. And I have a feeling that they are going to try and time this around the launch of the next Gears of War game. Why?
Yeah.
Because you can make both. They both advertise for each other. You create
Mhm.
marketing synergies, and I expect this to happen all over the energy. It's why it's happening with. I guarantee the Dragon Age anime was supposed to come out at the same time as the game, right?
Yeah.
I have a feeling the game internally was supposed to be this year. It's definitely not this year. We'll be lucky if it hits next year, but like, you know, that's the whole strategy is make these things and make the IP stronger and make money where you couldn't make money before.
Yeah, that's the number one thing with all of this, man. Because like, I'm thinking about Halo. This is something. As long as we don't have that situation, like production houses matter. So I think that's the first thing. I know there are people like in the chat right now that are just like, oh, Netflix's movies, they're very hit or miss to say the least, right? Though their animation house is spectacular. And so it really comes down to, who is producing this film, who's behind the scenes working it, because that stuff matters. Like when people talk about the Twisted Metal show that's in production, it's at Peacock. I do not expect that show to be good whatsoever because Peacock is not great. It's not known for its quality, right? It's just known for The Office. So when I take something like Netflix, I'm like, well, why is this happening? Why Netflix? Well, because Microsoft, helped them put in that ad tier at Netflix. So like, this is probably part of their deal that they're making. Microsoft wants that transmedia again. Other companies are doing it. You see the expansion into mobile. You're going to see the expansion into cinema and TV. There are audiences out there that are willing to give nerdy ass shit a shot now. So let's take that shot while we can and let's deliver them good media. And at the same exact time, there are excellent writers, directors that have now been raised and brought up by video games that are able to translate it perfectly or better than previous, right? So I think those are things to consider. So for me, like, I'm apprehensive about the Netflix stuff because for me, Netflix is very hit and miss as of late.
Mm-hmm.
But I love Gears of War. Guys, Gears of War is one of my favorite franchises of all time. I love that franchise dearly, and I want to see it translated well because, like the Pendulum Wars, that would be cool to cover in an anime, right? Seeing the emergence, seeing E-Day just there happen, like the first 20 minutes, you understand what's going on. That's awesome. Like, all of that excites me. Like, to me, like, the perfect director for this role would be like Zack Snyder. Give him this bloody, gruesome war movie. I bet he'd be absolutely down for it. Like, give me something that has artistic integrity, that is going to build off the source material, respect that source material, and not take off goddamn Master Chief's helmet. I'm so upset about that still.
At least
So,
at least we're not Resident Evil fans. It could be worse. It can
it could
always
be.
be worse.
I don't know.
And that's the thing to
Oh, I
be
heard about
worried
that.
about, man. That's they've had, like, Netflix has had their wins and losses in the video game realm. So it does make me a little apprehensive, but I love Gears. I really want to see this work, and it gets more people into the franchise. Like, you mentioned your mother, my brother. Now, the beautiful thing about watching my brother play The Last of Us and Last of Us Part 2 is he's playing these games without Twitter ruining it for him. So like, he's going into it fresh and he's loving his experience with it because he doesn't care about the spoilers, right? It's all new to him. And he's just excited because he sees Last of Us. He knows I love it. He knows he loves HBO content. So this is going to be up his wheelhouse. And so I really do feel like production houses matter. Where you're putting these things matter. So I'm optimistic. I want to see this do well. I want to see, Josh Brolin as Marcus Phoenix. Let's do it. I'm all in on this, but I'm apprehensive. So I'm all in, but I'm apprehensive. I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I like what I hear, but let's see. Let's just wait and see, because it is Netflix.
I know, and I totally agree with you on that one. General MLD, buddy, I mean, I know you're a pretty big Gears fan. I know you got the huge Lancer at home and whatnot. What's your take on this? Are you excited about this partnership with the Coalition and Netflix and these shows getting announced? Or show and film, I suppose?
Well, yeah, I'm actually excited about the animated one. As the other panel members said, Netflix is actually good with those. I feel like with an animated show, you can better portray like the lore and the universe as it should be. Whereas live action, you're kind of constrained with budgets and casting and whatnot like that. So I'm excited for that. The live action one, I'm sorry, I was burned by Halo pretty badly. and I kind of feel like Netflix, yeah, they do have a bad track record with these things, whether it's, bad casting or disregarding the lore, things like that. A lot of things just to make it more modern audience compatible and not, make it more for the fans or keeping the true soul of the IP intact. So, I mean, I'm happy to be disappointed. I hope it's true. But I'm not holding my breath for it. If I had to guess, I think like to do locusts on the on the screen, it would either be like bad CG or it'd be like really really good costume work. But I feel like either way, you can't really show too much of that. So I do feel like E Day or the days leading up to E Day would be the best thing because it's mostly a human cast. So yeah, it's just basically just humans on human violence right there. You set up the characters, whatnot, and maybe like the season 1 finale could be like Emergence Day or like maybe a couple episodes left in the season, something like that. That's what I'm speculating because just to keep your budget relatively good and not have to do a bunch of CG locusts and all that kind of stuff. So keep it human actors only. But even then, I'm giving these guys way too much credit because again, it's Netflix, Paramount, Netflix. It's all the same to me in terms of live action. But yeah. I am looking forward to the live action the animated one. As far as casting goes, I think the actor who played Coltrane, I don't know how old he is, if he's like a decent age still. If he can still pull it off, I think he should be picked still. As far as Marcus Phoenix, I mean, hey, Batista, he's making a big case for it. I mean, hey, why not? Like anybody can wear a do-rag, right? He's pretty jacked. He can fit Marcus's build pretty well. Otherwise, I got no real preference for casting. Just as a fan of Halo, of Gears, like Gears actually has a lot of novels to basically in between the games. I got those. I read them all, so I know like what the lore and universe is all about. Just keep the soul intact. That's all I really want. And if you can do that, then yeah, I'll watch it and I'll say my positive word of mouth. So, but hey. We'll see.
All right. Very fair points. Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of Paramount's treatment of Halo myself. Could not get into that at all. Thought it was a violation of the series personally. But hey, if some people liked it, so be it.
You don't know better. It's okay.
Yeah. No, I hear you, man. Now to round this out, Centurion Pal. I mean, obviously we're talking about an live action adaptation and an animated version of Gears of War coming from Netflix. Hearing some excitement, some caution. I don't know. Are you looking forward to this? What's your take?
I have a big take. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, let's just first off just kind of start it off here. I've been saying this for a long time that Microsoft and the rest of the gaming industry has really taken notice the strides that PlayStation has made with the strides that Sony has made with their brands that they have under their umbrella, especially when it comes to Sony Pictures. And, we've seen how Spider-Man, we've seen Uncharted go on the silver screen. We see how God of War is like a lot of the movies. A lot of the games that PlayStation does are like these cinematic experiences. And, like other people, like, I'm sorry, the best way, how was it said that the best gratitude you could receive is when somebody starts to emulate you or do the same thing as you. And that's where, Sony has really carved out a niche for themselves in being gaming entertainment. And now we've seen CD Projekt Red do this with Netflix and their show. And this is reminiscent of what what Microsoft wanted to do back in the 2013 era with Donnie D and the Magic Hand Wave. Here's the Xbox One. Freaking we all remember that the Xbox One was supposed to originally come out as a device to not only game on, but to supplement your consumption of entertainment. And that's where they wanted to do, I think it wasn't it called like Microsoft Studios or something like that, where they were trying. Remedy actually used this studio to create, oh my God, Quantum Break. That was the direction they were wanting to go. That's why Quantum Break had this like cinematic experience involving the actor who played Iceman in the original X-Men movies, and one of the actors from Lord of the Rings. I mean, it was actually, in my opinion, a really good show. I had fun playing Quantum Break. I'm excited for what's going on with this whole situation. I'm at least just to put it out there. We see Microsoft wanting to do a deal with Netflix on Gears of War for a live action movie and an animated show. They're also trying to do an animated version of Grounded. We've seen Halo over on Paramount. We're also going to see Fallout, the television show, on Prime Video through Amazon. And we're going to cap it off with an animated Minecraft. I don't know if it's a movie or a television show that's going to be done by Warner Brothers. So Microsoft has actually gone and pretty much leased out a lot of IPs to appear everywhere. When it comes to what's going on with Netflix and the Gears of War exclusively, I know everybody really had their reservations about not Gears of War, Halo, because of how they really changed the lore. And I always, we even chatted about this stuff after the show about how they're going to rewrite stuff based on trying to get new consumers of the content to want to tune in. And sometimes lore goes out the window. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is we all remember Rod Ferguson, the old head director of the Coalition. He warned us that there was talks of a Gears of War television show. Originally, HBO was supposed to be the one that did Halo, and Showtime was supposed to do Gears of War. Now we see Paramount was the ones who ended up with Halo. And Gears of War is now going to finally settle on Netflix. But one thing Rod Ferguson said in his interview was that this is not going to be lore. The original concept for the Gears of War movie or television show was supposed to be, here's the Gears of War franchise. Have fun with it. And you're not going to be like shackled down to follow lore. Now, I really do hope with Dave Bautista wanting to do Marcus Phoenix, this is going to go down the road of exposing people to the stories of Marcus Phoenix and hopefully, like you guys said, the Emergent Wars, really getting people interested in, like everybody knows Master Chief. You could stick Master Chief anywhere. A cosplayer, you could stick a cosplayer of Master Chief anywhere and everybody would know that it's Master Chief. When was the last time you saw a cosplayer on the side of like the New York Strip or out in Vegas on the Strip cosplaying as Marcus Phoenix? You don't see that too often because Marcus Phoenix and the Gears of War franchise is not a very well-known franchise outside of gaming. And that's where I'm excited because now we're going to be able to bring in people bring in new consumers that are going to totally want to know more about the Gears of War universe. And I'm not going to totally throw Netflix out the window and say, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They know how to do creature effects. We've seen this in Stranger Things with the Demogorgons. They've done excellent CG effects in doing the Upside Down. We've also seen them do actually a very well done CG / actual actor in a suit or, like costume with Vecna. So they actually do have people that work for Netflix in the production side that know how to create decent creature effects to actually maybe do the locusts on a proper scale. But that's where, at least in my opinion, to do that, they need to approach the Gears of War movie with the same love and dedication that has been poured into Stranger Things when it comes to nurturing that show. The funny part is about Stranger Things is they never really expected that show to go past season 1, and the fact that the guys who originally wrote Stranger Things are going to be able to go full circle and actually do the 5th and final season like they wanted to, because the original concept for Stranger Things was to be 5 seasons, and they're actually going to get that. So Netflix knows doing movies like this or television shows can work. I just really hope that they are going to give it a proper chance and not half-ass it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and that's a fair statement. Like, again, I understand there were some comments in the chat and obviously on the panel. Like, again, I'm kind of 50-50 with Netflix. I want to see a little more quality from them, and I mean, sorry.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt. It's more like, what do you do if you're in Netflix's position? You see what Amazon is doing with The Lord of the Rings. They're also adapting Fallout. We've already seen stuff like, little sneak peeks and clips of that. So we know there's going to be some polish and quality behind Fallout. We've seen what Paramount did with Halo, even though Halo did not meet the fans' expectations when it came to lore, there was still some polish to it. That's where that's where Netflix is now at this impasse of, do we hit the same mark of quality as our competitors, or do we half-ass it? And I really do think for this to work in the long run in Netflix's favor, don't half-ass it, because we've already seen that Netflix has had a lot of uphill struggles when it comes to just the direction that they built their platform on leasing content from other guys and putting it on there. And then all of a sudden those guys like Disney open their own storefronts and they have Disney Plus, and now that content is slowly disappearing from Netflix.
Yeah.
Netflix has a chance to reinvigorate interest in the Netflix brand and saying this could be another home for where video games can have a chance to shine, other than somewhere on a video game screen with a controller in your hand. And that's where I really hope Netflix is willing to compete on the same level as the Amazon Primes and the Paramount TVs, to basically be like, yo, if you guys are going to half-ass it, then you're going to be known as the company to not go to with anything that you really want to succeed with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Netflix has been very curious with gaming as well. Obviously, they bought a few studios. They have smaller ambitions when it comes to gaming, but they do have a growing interest there. So it's just natural that they want to see what partner up with a few different publishers and get some shows going. So hey, you know what? I'm just curious to see how this will work out, and again, I hope for the best, but time will tell on that one. Anything else, guys, before we start closing off the show? Yes, no? Okay. All right, I think on that, it's about time we start winding things down tonight. And I gotta say, guys, I had a blast chatting with everybody on the panel. I mean, we talked about God of War, Ragnarok, more about the whole EU, Xbox talk. And hey, Gears of War getting a Netflix adaptation. That's pretty exciting. And to all of you that came in to listen tonight, hey, it was great having you all here. And if you enjoyed tonight's episode, then please consider liking the show and sharing this out. Also, sub to the channel if you're a new face here, because hey, we would love to have you stick around. Now, over to the outros, starting off with our guest, Joseph Moran, Mr. Babbitt himself. Hey, buddy, it was great having you on here tonight. I really enjoyed your thoughts, all your takes, opinions tonight. Where can all these fine people listening in follow you at?
Thank you, and thank you for having me, by the way. Yeah, man, it's getting late. I'm gonna try to squeeze in some God of War, I think, before I go to bed. I think that's the plan. But
no one can fault you there. No one can fault you.
Can't. But listen, you can find me over at Mr. Badbit over on Twitter, as long as that still exists. And you can find you can find the Trophy Room at PS Trophy Room on Twitter as well. It's the real one. We don't have a badge. We're humble about it. You can find the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast, each and every Thursday. Me and my best friend Kyle talk about the latest, the greatest in all things PlayStation. Of course, our motto there is everybody's welcomed. Everyone. We have a ton of Xbox fans that listen to us. That is their favorite PlayStation podcast because we try our best not to dive into the console war nonsense. We don't like it. We love them all. We want them all to succeed. We're all about celebrating the developers and the people that make these experiences. So you can follow the Trophy Room on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, Google Play, wherever you find your podcast service of choice. You can find the Trophy Room there. And guys, thank you so much for having me.
Of course, guys. Check them out. Check out the show, Trophy Room. Sounds like a great place.
Right.
Next, moving on to the TXR regulars. Tim Dog had to sign out early, but you guys know where to find him. xCloud, Tim Dog on Twitter. General MLD, buddy. Hey, thought you had some really good points tonight. Excellent show. Where can everybody follow you?
Thank you. You guys can find me at MLD Ghost on Twitter, gamertag Ghost MLD. Yeah, had a lot of fun here chatting about all the subjects here, and looking forward to next week.
Naturally, you got it. Next up, Eric Shockley. Pal, hey, another good one from you. Where can everybody follow you at?
Yeah, as always, you can find me at ShockNeuro on Twitter, Easy Shock on Xbox Live. But yeah, thanks for everybody that stopped by giving us a update on God of War for most of us that hadn't played it yet. But yeah, good topics tonight, and yeah, hopefully we'll get some news sooner than later on the whole Activision thing, so we can stop talking about it or start talking about it and know what the hell we're talking about.
yes and no at the same time. Yeah. Okay, moving on here. Crusader, buddy. Hey, another good one from you as well. Where can everybody find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter as long as it still exists at Crusader3456. I am going to be creating a new pinned tweet there that's going to have links to all my other socials. Because I have been going around and creating brand socials for myself on literally every platform just in case Elon implodes the site because, you know.
You know what, real talk before we get out of here, I'm really happy that we've broken the Elon facade. It's like, oh, he's actually not that smart, just rich, and he was lucky with money, you know.
He's smart with some things that obviously ain't running a social media company.
Yeah.
It
Definitely
obviously ain't this.
Yeah.
Stick to electric cars, man.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and defrauding governments. He's great at those two things.
Yep.
The rest, not that much.
Yeah. You can find me everywhere. You know, I'm here every Sunday night. Xbox and PlayStation, Crusader 3456. I think Steam, I'm Crusader Lord of the Realm, which is also my main name on Twitter. But yeah, great show tonight. I'm very tired because of last night. So, great show, everyone. Sorry that I'm dying at the end here.
Party animal. All right.
Yeah, a little bit.
And of course, we got Centurion, Arizona buddy. Hey, great show tonight. Where can everybody find you?
Well, real quick, thank you everybody for joining us. Really big special thanks to Mr. Badbit, Joseph Moran. Thank you for being here. I had the good fortune to be on another podcast with you, and I've always loved your energy and attitude. The Trophy Room for me is one of the main places I go to when I want to consume PlayStation based podcasting. Because dude, I can tune in and I'm not going to hear somebody smashing another platform just to make themselves feel justified in buying a PlayStation, which is something I really love the message you put out there. So for anybody who's never checked out the Trophy Room, just because it's a PlayStation based podcast, that's just, there's no reason to be biased. You just go check it out. You'll see what I'm talking about. You run a really great show over there, man.
I appreciate the kind words.
Oh, no, man. We appreciate you being here, and really thank you for, taking my DM that night. Definitely for those wanting to find me, you can find me at Centurion1307, YouTube, Xbox Live, Twitter, as long as it's there. I'm always thinking about going other places, but maybe that's just because I'm ADHD. But for those who do also want to listen to other podcasts I'm on, you find me right here every Sunday night on TXR, and you can find me on Gaming Beyond the Box with Wilmy when he has time to do the show, and pretty much wherever else I pop up in between then.
All right. And yeah, just to round out the crew, you guys can find me on YouTube on my channel Invader Gaming, and also, hey, on Twitter. I mean, I plan on sticking around. I personally don't think it's going anywhere at Invader_1986. But hey, you can find me. I'm diversified. I am on a lot of other places, such as Minds at Invader Gaming, BitChute Invader Gaming, Parlor, a whole bunch of other places. I'm everywhere. I put myself wherever I can. But yeah, fun chat tonight, folks, and we are looking forward to our next show. So that'd be next Sunday. Later, everyone. Have a good one.